Have you ever wondered how fragile your mind really is? Today, we're exploring 5 of the rarest and most disturbing mental illnesses that most people will never experience. But once you hear about them, you'll never forget them. Let's begin with something truly unsettling: Fregoli syndrome. Imagine walking into a crowded room. Faces everywhere. Different people, different lives, or so you think. But then a chilling thought creeps in. They're all the same person, hiding behind different masks, following you, watching you, waiting for the right moment. This is the terrifying reality for people with Fregoli syndrome. Their minds become convinced that one single individual is stalking them, relentlessly changing their appearance to blend into their surroundings. A cashier, a stranger on the street, even your own family members. Each face, each voice, nothing but a disguise. Fregoli syndrome often shows up alongside schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or obsessive-compulsive disorder. It can also happen after brain injuries, or even as a side effect of Parkinson's treatment drugs, like levodopa. The syndrome was named after Leopoldo Fregoli, a famous Italian actor known for changing costumes with lightning speed on stage. But for the people living with this condition, it's not entertainment. It's persecution, and there's no known cure, only antipsychotic medications to dull the delusions and the fear. Now, if Fregoli syndrome bends your sense of trust, the next disorder breaks your entire sense of existence. Cotard's syndrome, known chillingly as walking corpse syndrome. Imagine looking into the mirror and seeing nothing. You still move, you still breathe, but inside, a horrifying certainty gnaws at you. You are already dead. People with Cotard's syndrome genuinely believe they no longer exist. Some are convinced that their organs have rotted away. Others insist that their blood has vanished, or that their very soul has already slipped into the afterlife. The syndrome was first described in 1882 by Jules Cotard, a French neurologist who treated patients who were absolutely convinced of their own non-existence. One woman, Madame X, was so certain she was dead that she refused to eat, believing she had no stomach. Modern science believes Cotard's arises from a breakdown between 2 critical brain systems, the one that recognizes faces and the one that attaches emotional significance to those faces. Without that emotional confirmation, even seeing yourself in the mirror feels hollow, alien, wrong. Cotard's can occur with schizophrenia, depression, and bipolar disorder. In rare cases, it's even triggered by medications like acyclovir, an antiviral drug. Treatment usually involves powerful antipsychotics, mood stabilizers, and in severe cases, electroconvulsive therapy. But recovery is never guaranteed. Some patients remain trapped, lost in the void of their own mind. Still with me? Because next, things get even weirder. Alien hand syndrome. Now picture this. You're sitting at your desk, working. Without warning, your left hand reaches out and knocks your coffee over. You try to grab it, but it jerks away and slaps you across the face. Alien hand syndrome is exactly what it sounds like. Your hand acts as if it has a mind of its own, independent, unpredictable, sometimes even violent. The condition was first described in 1908, but wasn't officially named until the 1970s by Joseph Bogan, a neurophysiologist. He noticed the bizarre behavior in patients who had undergone a radical surgery, cutting the connection between the left and right hemispheres of the brain to treat severe epilepsy. Without the normal communication between brain halves, the affected hand can behave autonomously, driven by primitive brain impulses the conscious mind can't control. Patients often describe the hand as having its own intentions, grabbing, scratching, hitting, even trying to sabotage tasks the person is attempting to do. Some even believe their hand is possessed by a spirit or something far worse. Causes include brain tumors, strokes, prion diseases, and even rare infections that attack brain tissue. There's no cure. Therapies can teach people to occupy the hand by giving it an object to hold or a repetitive task to perform, but true control is usually lost forever. And now, we step into pure horror. Ekbom syndrome. Imagine feeling something moving under your skin, not once, not twice, but every single waking moment. You scratch, you dig, you plead for help from doctors, but nothing is there. Ekbom syndrome, also called delusional parasitosis, convinces people that their bodies are infested with parasites, tiny insects crawling, burrowing, thriving beneath their flesh. The syndrome was first described by Swedish neurologist Carl Ekbom in the 1930s, and it remains one of the most distressing psychiatric conditions ever recorded. Sufferers often end up severely injuring themselves, trying to remove the imagined invaders, scraping away layers of skin, or applying dangerous chemicals to kill the parasites. What's worse, they almost never believe it's just in their mind. Psychological explanations are rejected, doctors are accused of negligence, and the sufferer remains locked in an endless battle against an invisible enemy. Ekbom syndrome can accompany schizophrenia, brain damage, drug abuse, alcohol withdrawal, and even strokes. It's more common in women than men and typically affects people over 40. The haunting reality? For some, the crawling sensation never goes away. And finally, we arrive at perhaps the most dreamlike and most disorienting disorder of all, Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Named after Lewis Carroll's famous story, this syndrome warps your perception of reality itself. One moment, the world feels normal. The next, your body seems enormous, towering over furniture and people, or everything around you shrinks. Your house, your loved ones, even your own hands and feet become tiny, fragile things. Objects stretch and compress. Time speeds up, slows down, or fractures into moments that seem to bleed into one another. The syndrome is most common in children and migraine sufferers, but it can happen to anyone. It can also be triggered by infections, trauma, or, in rare cases, by epileptic activity in the brain. Although most episodes are short-lived, lasting just minutes or hours, the fear it induces can be overwhelming. Patients describe feeling trapped inside a funhouse mirror, where reality bends and twists beyond recognition. In many cases, simple rest and reassurance can end an episode. But for others, Alice in Wonderland syndrome leaves a lasting sense of disconnection, a lingering fear that the world could slip away at any moment. So what does this all mean? It means the mind, our most trusted guide to reality, is far more fragile and far stranger than we dare to believe. One wrong spark, one tiny misfire in the brain, and everything you know, everything you believe, could collapse. Which of these syndromes disturbed you the most? Let me know in the comments. And remember, sometimes the scariest monsters aren't outside. They're already inside us.